Good morning, everybody. Jared with J Gross Equipment, Bobcat of Aberdeen. Welcome back to another episode. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We'd also appreciate a like and a subscribe. We're going to keep bringing you this Bobcat content. So today we're going to talk about where is your battery on an R Series loader. All of the R Series, all the way down to the T and the S62, 64, 66, 76, 86. All of them have the battery under the cab. So if you're familiar with an M Series, this one is a T770. So if you've owned an M Series, even a G Series, pretty much every previous series of Bobcat, if you've owned one over the years, if you've worked for somebody that's owned one, you've always been familiar with the battery being just within generally a foot or two of the starter. Usually short cables, usually the battery's real easy to find and also easy to replace in the event that you need to replace it or jump start it. So the question we get from a lot of people that view an R Series for the first time, let's say they're in an S590, a T650, and they're looking at a T66, a S66, and when they open that engine compartment, one of the first questions a lot of them will have is, where's the battery, and how would I ever jump start this if I needed to? So today we're gonna not only show you how to jump start it, where to jump start it, we're also gonna show you the procedure to get this machine running, get the boom up, get the cab up, and to replace that battery in the event you need to. So some of the things that you would need to do that is obviously a new battery if you were gonna put a battery in it. We have a set of jumper cables here. We have an impact, which you would not need. You could also use a ratchet or just wrenches. We have wrenches. We have a 3/4, 9/16, a 1/2 inch, and then we have all those same sizes in the sockets. So to jump start the R Series, there isn't necessarily a designated lug like you would see on some equipment. You'll see a positive and a negative lug with boots on them. There is a positive junction here, and that's the recommended place to jump start this machine. The ground, we're gonna use the engine mount. So that junction right here is where your positive battery cable comes up from your battery, and then it meets and wise off to your starter. So you'd move this boot out of the way. This machine does have over 1,000 hours on it, so it does have some dirt in there. You'd clamp your positive battery cable there. You'd clamp your negative cable there to that engine mount. And whether you were to use a jump battery, which is what we're using here with cables, maybe you would have another piece of equipment that you'd be jumping it with. Maybe you'd have a small booster pack. A small booster pack is probably going to have shorter cables, so you might not be able to utilize both of these. If that was the case, you'd want to go on that positive junction and then maybe put that shorter cable on a chassis bolt. Maybe like one of these mount bolts here. So we'd put our positive on, we'd put our negative on, and at this point this machine's going to have that additional voltage from your jump battery. So then you'd want to go in and try to start it. So now we have the machine running. I'm going to raise the boom. had to make a quick exit out of here. And then as always, we'd want to get this boom lock into that lift cylinder to secure that while we're working under there. So always be sure to use that boom lock when you guys are working on these machines. With that boom up and that boom lock in there, it really frees up space for you to walk around this machine and to access a lot of the stuff. You can put a battery in an R Series with the boom down if you absolutely had to. The cab still raises with the boom down, but with the boom up, it's much easier and much cleaner to do. Okay, so one of the first things you'd have to do is remove these cab bolts. This takes a 3/4 inch socket. You can also use a wrench or a ratchet wrench. We're just using an impact for ease here. Set those aside. We're gonna raise that cab. The cab does have gas assist shocks to help raise it, and it does have a lock. So right here, there's a safety lock, which is gonna keep that cab from coming down and pinching you or bothering you. So to help answer the question, where is the battery on an R Series? This gives you a really clear view of where that battery is located. So with the cab up, you can see that you got your tracks. This would be the exact same location if this was a track machine or a wheeled machine. So it's going to be on the left front corner of the machine. And when we say left, we're referring to if you were sitting in the machine, operating the machine. So from there, you're going to see there's a standard Bobcat tie down on there, which has 2 pieces of hardware. And then this is that long jumper cable, battery cable that we used as a jump spot in the back where it was at that junction. So the next thing you'd want to do, sorry about that. So you'd take a 1/2 inch wrench, loosen that negative battery cable. You can kind of set that aside. And to make this easy, you would want to cut a couple zip ties, that one there, and then this one, which you'll generally find on these machines. And that's going to give us the ability to kind of get that battery cable out of the way. Take that hardware off there. Kind of wiggle that off. That's just a plastic battery tie down. These rods, they can actually, you can just set those aside. Gonna wiggle the battery out of there. So this is also a good time to, make sure your cables are clean. These cables are in particularly very clean and nice. Some of them won't be. You can kind of brush any of this excess dirt out of there. Maybe blow it out of there with a leaf blower, whatever you have available. So you'd go in with your battery, set that in place. You can get your tie downs back where they belong. Get your bracket on there. Add your washers, your hardware. Okay. You can get your positive cable on there. Make sure those are nice and seated for a good connection. Get our negative cable back on. So depending on your application, this is also a good opportunity to seal those battery terminals. If you're in high corrosive, high moisture, you can get a good battery protective terminal for that. So that battery's back in there, it's secure. So the next step would be to bring that cab down, run and test this machine before you bring that boom down. Make sure it's good, button everything up, put your cab bolts back on, and you'd be good to go. So hopefully that kind of gives you a little bit of an indication where the battery is on an R Series. It is a pretty popular question we get from people, whether they've owned them for a year or two and they need to jump them or put a battery in them, or if they're just looking to purchase one and they've had that question. So hopefully you enjoy this video. Comment if there's anything you're curious about. If you're curious about why we did something a certain way, or if there's something you'd like to know more about. And as always, we appreciate you joining us. Have a great day.